Grand Rising. You are tuning in to the Eagles Soaring High Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Minister Antoine Williams, aka Eagles Soaring High. And this is the Eagles Soaring High Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles broadcast. Earlier, I was sitting wondering what type of content I can do for my channels. And as I was sitting there, the Lord dropped something in my spirit. And I began to look at, or rather think upon the suggestion, the idea in a great way. As I began to embrace the idea for content, my mind began to flash back to a show that I used to watch. And this show was hosted by Jonathan Frakes. And for those of you that don't know who Jonathan Frakes is an actor and a he starred in the show called Star Trek: The Next Generation. See that he's done a show called Mysteries Unknown, and he did a show called Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. Before I talk about that, just in case you all may not recognize Jonathan Frakes, he starred in an episode of Charlie's Angels, Fantasy Island, and he is married to one of the daytime soap opera stars, Miss Janie Francis. Janie Francis. For those of you that may not know who Janie Francis is, she plays on General Hospital as Laura. She plays Laura on General Hospital, and he's married to her. And they've been married for a while. But the idea that God dropped in my spirit reminded me of the show that Jonathan Frakes used to do called Beyond Belief and Facts, Fictions. The whole idea of the show is that Jonathan Frakes, he would tell three or four stories, or he would rather show some clippings of a story, and at the end of each story you would have to decide whether the story was based on facts or fiction. And at the end of the show, he would then recap the story and tell you whether the story was facts or fiction. And so God dropped this idea in my spirit where I will take the same concept that Jonathan Frakes did in this show called Beyond Belief, Fact or Fiction. The only difference is that I will give you the stories and let you decide if the story is a reality or a part of my imagination. You will decide whether it's a reality or a story from my imagination. And at the end of this video, you will find out if your guess was right. So I'm going to call it reality. Is it reality or is it my imagination? Is it reality or is it my imagination? So I'm looking forward to adding this to my channel and see how it works. These videos will be pre-recorded and then uploaded, but during that time, at least give you at least some time to take a vote by putting a 1 in the chat if you believe it's a reality, or a 2 in the chat if you believe that it's a part of my imagination, a story that I came up with. So if you believe that it is a reality, you will put a 1 in the chat, and you believe that it's a story that I created, you'll put a 2 in the chat for my imagination. A 1 in the chat, reality, a 2 in the chat for my imagination. Well, let's take a 30-second break, and then we'll come back and dive right into this video. But before we dive into this video, this is the Eagles Soaring High Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Antoine Williams, aka Eagles Soaring High, and this is it my reality or is it my imagination? So welcome. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels, Eagles Soaring High Channel 1 and Eagles Soaring High Channel 2, Side Chat with Eagles, and Purple Community, Royal Priesthood. Again, like, comment, share, subscribe to all of my channels, Eagles Soaring High Channel 1 and Eagles Soaring High Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles, and Purple Community, Royal Priesthood. We will be back in a few moments to dive right into this video. So stay with me. I apologize if you all can hear that. That's my air conditioner going. And I got it going because I'm hot. But stay with me and stay to the end of this video. We'll be right back in just a few moments. Well, welcome back. Welcome back. This is the Eagles Soaring High, Channel 2, Fire Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Minister Antoine Williams, aka Eagles Soaring High. And this is a new addition to my channel. All right. Let's take a look at the first story. And the first story is entitled The Invisible Pool. The Invisible Pool. All right. Again, this is the Eagles on High Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Minister Antoine Williams, aka Eagles Soaring High. I want you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of my channels: Eagles Soaring High Channel 1, Eagles Soaring High Channel 2, Eagles Soaring High Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles, and Purple Community. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels. Well, the first story that I'm going to share with you is entitled The Invisible Pool. The Invisible Pool. Well, was a young man who got up, shower changed, clothes, prepared himself to go out to school. A young man, teenager, gathered his things to go out the door, made his way to the bus stop, standing there waiting on his bus. And it seemed like the bus was taking forever. The young man waited as long as he could until he became impatient and decided to walk to school. The young man began to walk down the street early in the morning. He decided to take a detour that would seem to be a shortcut for him. He began to walk down this block. No one was out. The street seemed to have been empty. No one on their porches, no one preparing to go to school. It was just empty. The streets was empty. The block was empty. It seemed like no one was going to work, any of that. But this young man began to walk down this block. And as he turned down into the block and began to walk down the street, or rather down the block, he noticed one dog, two dogs, three dogs. And before he knew it, it was a whole pack of dogs coming down the street. This young man didn't know what to do. He noticed he saw a whole pack of dogs. And as he looked up and down the block, it seemed like these dogs all looked up at him at one time. And in sync and unison, these dogs, this pack of dogs, began to charge at him. For a split second, he froze, confused, not knowing which way to go, what direction to go in. He just kind of froze. And all of a sudden, this young man heard the voice of God that spoke to him and said to him, "Be still. Be still." So the young man stood there watching this pack of dogs in sync in unison, all in a line, a whole pack of them charging at him. But yet all he heard was, "Be still." And as he stood there, it was like a hand appeared and brought forth a blockage, a wedge between the young man and the pack of dogs. And you could see them running and charging, and all of a sudden they tried to stop and they began to slide. You could see them running but sliding. And within a few moments, you could see all dogs being pulled back, being pulled and pushed back. After they had been pulled and pushed back to a certain point, the dogs stopped, looked up at the young man, turned their heads, and ran in the other direction. Ran in the other direction. And I call this story the invisible pull. The invisible pull. Now I'm going to leave it up to you to decide whether this story is a reality or is it part of my imagination. Is it a reality or is it part of my imagination? Why don't you take the time and vote? If you believe that it is a reality, would you put a 1 in the chat? If you believe it's a reality, put a 1 in the chat. If you believe that it's a part of my imagination, put a 2 in the chat. If you believe that it's a part of my imagination, a story that I created, put a 2 in the chat. So you're going to put a 1 in the chat for it being a reality. And you're going to put a 2 in the chat if you believe that it's a story that I created. I'm going to hit the 30-second countdown and give you a chance to put a 1 in the chat for reality or 2 in the chat for my imagination. We'll be right back after these moments. All right, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to put a 1 in the chat if you believe it's a reality, or a 2 in the chat if you think it's a story that I created. Here we go. All right. This is the Eagles Soaring High Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Minister Williams, aka Eagles Soaring High, and this is the Eagles Soaring High Channel 2 Fireside Chat broadcast, and it's something that I'm going to add to my channel called "Is It a Reality?" or is it my imagination? And we just went through the first story. All right. I want you all to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels, Eagle High Channel 1, Eagle Soaring High Channel 2, and Eagle Soaring High Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles and Purple Community Royal Priesthood. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. All right. Let's look at the second story. The first story is called The Invincible Pool. The Invisible Pool. My goodness. All right, the second story that I'm going to share with you. And at the end, you will decide whether it is a reality or if it's part of my imagination. The second story is called The Bright Light That Knocked Out the Robbers. The bright light that knocked out the robbers. All right. A man by the name of Levi woke up at 10 o'clock a.m. He gets out of bed, showers, gets dressed, eats breakfast, and has a cup of coffee. Levi plans to go to the bank to deposit a large amount of money. He gets in his car and drives to the bank. He stands in line waiting to be taken care of. 10 minutes later, 5 people come in, lock the door, and forces everyone to get on the floor. 2 of the robbers waltz by demanding their phones, jewelry, purses, and wallets. One approached Levi and demands his cuff, links, watch, and wallet. Levi rebukes the robber And the robber puts his weapon to Levi's head and asks if he is a believer. Levi replies, yes. The robber declares, give me your stuff or you will meet your maker. Levi gets up on his knees and begins to pray. A light comes out, filling the room. When the light begins to fade, all 5 robbers are laid out on the floor. The door is unlocked and the authorities come in, apprehend the robbers. Let me read it to you once again. A man by the name of Levi woke up at 10 o'clock a.m. He gets out of bed, showers, gets dressed, eats breakfast, and has a cup of coffee. Levi plans to go to the bank to deposit a large amount of money. He gets in his car and drives to the bank. He stands in line waiting to be taken care of. 10 minutes later, 5 people come in, lock the door, and forces everyone to get on the floor. 2 of the robbers walks by demanding their phones, jewelry, purses, and wallets. One approached Levi and demands his cufflinks, watch, and wallet. Levi rebukes the robber. The robber puts his weapon to Levi's head and asks if he's a believer. Levi replies, yes. The robber declares, give me your stuff or you will meet your maker. Levi gets on his knees and begins to pray. A light comes out, filling the room. When the light begins to fade, all 5 robbers are laid out on the floor. And the door is unlocked and the authorities come in and apprehend the robbers. All right. Is this reality or is it a part of my imagination? Is it a reality or is it a part of my imagination? If you believe that it's a reality, put a 1 in the chat for reality. If you think it's a part of my imagination, put a 2 in the chat. Again, if you believe it's a reality, put a 1 in the chat. If you believe that it's a part of my imagination, a story that I created and told you, put a 2 in the chat. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to make your decision. What do you believe? Is it a reality or is it my imagination? We'll be back shortly. All right. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. This is the Eagles Soaring High, Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Minister Antoine Williams, a.k.a. Eagles Soaring High. Will you please like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of my channels? Comment, share, and subscribe to all of my channels. Eagles Soaring High, Channel 1, Eagles Soaring High, Channel 2. Fireside Chat with Eagles and Purple Community Royal Priesthood. I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to make your decision. If you believe it's a reality, put a 1 in the chat. If you believe it's a reality, put a 1 in the chat. If you believe that it's a part of my imagination, a story that I created, put a 2 in the chat for my imagination. Is it a reality or is it part of my imagination? Here we go, and we'll be back with the third story. All right. All right, welcome back. The third story that I have. We just got through listening to The Bright Light That Knocked Out the Robbers. The first story was The Invisible Pool. The second story was The Bright Light That Knocked Out the Robbers. And the final story for this video is entitled Seeing God Face to Face. Seeing God face to face. Well, there was a young man that injured himself. He injured himself, not purposely, but accidentally. He was going down the stairs to receive his family's dinner. And there were some young men in the hallway on the steps. The young man took a leap of faith. He leaped over about five people that was in the hallway sitting on the steps. He leaped over them and landed on the landing, went down the other set of stairs to get their meal, went back up, and discovered later on that night that he had injured his knee. He had injured his knee, and so after he was done eating and preparing himself for the next day to go to school, he lays down to sleep at night, try to get some rest, and he goes to sleep, and he begins to move into a deep sleep, and he begins to dream about being in the hospital, where he's in this hospital and the staff brings another bed in the room. They bring another patient in the room, And they roll the bed into the room, put it in place, and walk right out of the room. The young man looks over at the bed. And when he looks over, he sees the patient is covered from head to toe. That the sheet has been pulled over the patient's head. He stares over at the bed, wondering why would the doctors bring someone that had passed, someone that was to the room and leave the body there. They roll him in, walk out the room. A few minutes later, the young man looks over at the bed, and the patient in the other bed begins to sit up. As he begins to sit up, the sheet begins to fall and roll down, slide down his body into the lap. The young man looks over and he sees the patient gets out of the bed. The person swings their legs over the side of the bed, stands up, and begins to move towards the young man's bed. The interesting thing about the whole situation is that when the young man looks over at the person, they have on a white robe. They have on a white robe, the purest, whitest robe that the person has ever seen. In fact, they had never seen a white as pure as this robe. Looks down at the feet, and the person has on sandals. They have on sandals. So the young man takes the sheet and he throws it over his head. The person walks over his bed and pulls the sheet from over his face. The young man throws the sheet back over his face, and the person pulls it off again. Let me rewind a little bit, because as this person begins to walk towards the bed, the young man can feel his body vibrating from his head down to his feet. So to hurry quickly to the beginning of it again, the young man pulls the sheet over his face to hide his face because he's afraid. And the person pulls the sheet from over his face and he throws it back over his face, and the person pulls it down. When the young man looks up, this person standing there in this white robe and sandals looks up to face the person. The interesting thing is that he could not see the person's face. Why? Because there was a ball of light in front of his face, blurring out his face. But the young man could see his hands and he could see his feet. As the person stepped closer and got closer, even as he touched to pull the sheet, the young man's body went numb. It went numb. A few minutes in the dream, he begins to wake up. And as he wakes up, he can still feel his body vibrating and the numbing feeling. Felt numb from the crowns of his head to the sole of his feet. But yet, there was this vibrating feeling. Do you believe that this is a reality? Or do you believe that it's a part of my imagination? You decide. Think about it. Does it sound realistically? Or does it just sound just what it was, a dream? You decide. If you believe that it is a reality, put a 1 in the chat. If you believe that it's a part of my imagination, put a 2 in the chat. A 1 in the chat for reality, a 2 in the chat for it's a part of my imagination. This is the EaglesSoaringHigh Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Minister Antoine Williams, aka EaglesSoaringHigh. And this is it a reality or is it part of my imagination? Is it a reality or is it my imagination? You think about it. Think about it and make a decision. All right. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels, EaglesSoaringHigh Channel 1 and EaglesSoaringHigh Channel 2. I chat with and community priesthood. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe it's a reality. Put a 2 in the chat if you believe it's my imagination. So, end of this video, because the answers will be revealed to the end of this video, for the answers will be revealed. All right, I'm gonna give you a 30 to make your decision. Put a 1 in the chat if you believe it's a reality. In the chat if you believe that it's part of my imagination. But stick around in this video to find out if your guess was correct. If it was not, we'll be back in a few moments. All right. I'm going to do another 30 seconds. Put it in the chat if you believe it's reality, or put it in the chat if you believe that it is part of my imagination. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. Back in just a few moments. All right. All right. This is the Eagle Soaring High Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Minister Antoine Williams, aka Eagle Soaring High, and this is going to be a new addition to my channel entitled, Is It a Reality or Is It My Imagination? Is it a reality or is it my imagination? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels, Eagle Soaring High Channel 1, Eagle Soaring High Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles, and Purple Community Royal Priesthood. I want to thank all of you for joining me on tonight. I want to thank you for joining me in the nest on tonight. I appreciate you. I thank you. To all my new subscribers, I want to thank you and tell you welcome to the nest. I appreciate you. Words cannot tell you how I feel, how overwhelmed with joy that my heart is that you saw my channel and my content and decided to subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much to my day ones. Thank you. I appreciate you all for the love and the support that you all have shown me and have given me. I really, really appreciate it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels, Eagle Soaring High Channel 1, Eagle Soaring High Channel 2, and Purple Community. Eagle Soaring High Channel 1, Eagle Soaring High Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles and Purple Community. On tonight of this broadcast of Is It a Reality or Is It My Imagination? I shared with you three stories that I left you with the thought and the mindset of deciding whether it is a reality or part of my imagination. The first story I shared with you was entitled The Invisible Pool, and it was about a young man who was traveling to go to school, and he made a detour and ended up on a block where he ended up in a situation that we call a dangerous scene and unseen, where he encounters a pack of dogs that start charging at him, and there was that invisible blockage, and there was a pull and push that caused the dogs to turn around and run in the other direction. The second story that I shared with you were about a young man named Levi who went to the bank to deposit some money into an account that was being robbed. Clearly, they were trying to gather the jewelry and the wallets and the belongings of the customers. And found out that Levi rebukes the robber, and the robber threatens his life. He begins to pray, and we find that there was a bright light that knocked out the robbers. And when it faded, they were left apprehended. And then the third story that I share with you was seeing God face to face. Seeing God face to face. About a young man that ends up injuring himself, and he goes to sleep at night and he a dream has a dream about seeing face to face. Now it's up to you to have decided whether it is a reality or is it my imagination, something that I created just to share with you. The thing, and you were to put a 1 in the chat if you believe it was a reality, and you were to put a 2 in the chat if you felt like it was part of my imagination. Again, this is the Eagle Soaring High, Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am Minister Andrew Williams, aka Eagle Soaring High. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels. Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels. Subscribe to my channels, Eagle Soaring High, Channel 1, Eagle Soaring High, Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles, and Purple Community Royal Priesthood. Are you ready to find out if your guesses were correct or if they were not correct? Are you ready? Like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channels. Eagles Channel 1, Eagle Soaring High, Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles, and Purple Community Royal Priesthood. Stay with me to the end of this video to find out if it is a reality or is it my imagination. We will be right back shortly for the reveal of the answers, just to find out if it is reality or imagination. We'll be back shortly. All right, welcome back. Welcome back. Well, let's find out if you were correct. Okay, in the first story, I shared with you the invisible pool. For those of you that voted 1, it is reality. It is my reality. Yes, it is. It is a reality. That story was about an experience I had as a teenager on my way to school, and most definitely I did encounter a pack of dogs, and God told me to just be still, to be still. Put a wedge between me and the pack of dogs, and within an instant, he pulled, he stopped them, and he began to pull and push those dogs back, and they turned around and went in the other direction. In fact, this was one of my storymonies, part of my storymonies I shared with you on uh, I it's reality. And again, I shared it in a story on my EaglesSoaringHigh channel 1, and in fact, it's in a playlist here on this channel. So, the invisible pool was a reality. It just shows you what God can do and what God will do for you. You trust and believe in Him and show Him some faith, and when you take the time to be obedient to. All right, the second story that I shared with you, entitled The Bride That Knocked Out the Robbers. What do you think? Is it a reality, or is it of my imagination? For those of you that put a 2 in the chat, you are correct. It was a story that I thought about and created just to share with you, to share with you all. It is my imagination. The bright light that knocked out the robbers is imagination. It's a part of my imagination. And so, but the whole message is that anything is possible. There is nothing impossible for God. When God steps out on the scene, He can change that scene, and you'll never be the same. You got to remember, God is your protector. He is your banner. All right. So the first one is a reality. The second one is part of my imagination. And the third one, what do you think? What is your guess? Do you believe that this is a reality, or is it part of my imagination? Just before I reveal the answer to you, I want to remind you to like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of my channels. EaglesSoaringHigh Channel 1, EaglesSoaringHigh Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles, and Purple Community, Royal Priesthood. What do you think? Is it a reality, or is it my part of my imagination, one that I created? You in the chat that put a 1 in the chat, it is a reality. Yes, it is a reality. a while. So when be about 18, 19, my mom ordered food and it had arrived, and I went down the stairs to get it. And as I went down, ended up on the third floor. I was coming down the stairs. By the time I reached the second landing, there was a group of young men sitting on the steps. They were sitting there smoking and drinking and having a good old time. Again, sitting there on the steps. I told them they didn't have to move, and I leaped over all of their head, hit that landing, went downstairs, got the food, came back up, ate, prepared myself to go to school the next day, when all of a sudden I began to experience pain in my right knee. I began to experience pain in my knee and with the limp. I got through eating, prepared myself uh, to be prepared to go to school the next day. I laid down to sleep, and I had a dream. And that dream, as I was in dream that I was in the hospital, the staff brought another patient into the room. They pushed the bed, walked out, and I noticed that the when they brought the patient in the room, that there was a sheet over his head all the way down to his feet. And again, I began to wonder in the dream, why would they have brought someone that had passed into the room and left him there, just to find out that that wasn't the situation. As I was laying there in the dream in the hospital bed, uh, the body began to move. I shared that with you, that he sat up and he swung his legs over to the side of the bed to get out of bed. And I shared with you he had on the most purest, whitest um, garments and a pair of sandals. Uh, he began to walk towards bed, to my bed, and I began to discover after I had that this was just not a man. This just wasn't a patient, but this was Jesus himself. Because as he began to walk towards my bed, my body began to vibrate. The closer he got, my body began to vibrate quicker and faster, and I began to go numb, not understanding that during that time within the dream that I was receiving my healing, and I was able to see the garments and the sandals and hands and feet. But again, there was like a ball of a bright light covering his face. And it wasn't until I had awakened the following day that I recognized that I had seen God face to face. And not only had I seen God face, but I had been healed in my dream. But when I woke up healed and delivered. Well, this for me has been interesting. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed doing this video, and I pray that uh, that you have been inspired and encouraged by this. And by the way, the last story, Seeing God Face to Face, I also shared this story on my channel in a story moni. Yes, I did. Well, I shared 3 stories with you: the invisible pool, the bright light that knocked out the robbers, and seeing God face to face. The first story, the invisible pool, was a reality. The bright light that knocked out the robbers was a part of my imagination, a story in which I created just to share with you all. Um, to share with you all. And this one, Seeing God Face to Face, is a reality. I want to thank all of you all for coming to the nest to hang out with me. I appreciate you. I thank you all so much for the love and the support. This is the Eagles Soaring High, Channel 2 Fireside Chat with Eagles. I am your host, Minister Antoine Williams, a.k.a. Eagles Soaring High. And I want to thank you all for joining me for It Is It Reality, or Is It My Imagination? Yes, thank you for joining me on this episode of Is It Reality, or Is It My Imagination? Join with me again in the next video, in the next episode of Is It a Reality, or Is It My Imagination? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to all of my channels: Eagles Soaring High Channel 1, Eagles Soaring High Channel 2, Fireside Chat with Eagles, and Purple Community Royal Priesthood. I pray you will join me in the next for the next episode of Is It a Reality, or Is It My Imagination? Thank you. God bless you for the support the love and the support you have shown me. I will see you in the next video. May God bless you, may God keep you, and may his love forever shine upon you. And until the next time, stay blessed and safe in the Master's arms. God bless you.